Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Jennifer Yan. She is the founder and online marketer at SEO Symbiosis LLC. She is fueled by her experience in technology and work in marketing research for organizations such as YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google. She developed a foundation in consumer psychology and how to market products and services in a manner that resonates with a specific audience. She helps business owners struggling with lead generation to use media and influencers to rank higher in search engines to reach billions of potential leads worldwide. According to Forbes, 90% of the buyer's journey starts online, and making sure your business has a high search engine rankings is more important than ever. Not only does Jennifer help drive traffic to websites to bring awareness to her clients' businesses, but she also focuses on communicating value. Now that they've gotten the attention, how do you convince your services and products are important to your clients? She uses creative problem solving and strategic marketing to curate relationships with influential decision makers to ignite the growth of her clients' businesses, which will make dramatic changes for business in only months and not years, which if you've been online, time is of the essence. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you so much for the great intro.
Such a great background, and it's such an important topic for today because one of the things that is certain in the online world as we are trying to bridge that what I call real life, where we're out here meeting face to face, and the virtual world where we're trying to attract clients virtually, it's the only thing certain is change with it. And we need people like you who spend their time in it and being immersed in it, and people who understand it. Because one of the things that I know as an entrepreneur, and a lot of the listeners, it's like, this isn't what I'm good at. I need help. So I'm really glad that you're here. So let's start out, and I think I'd like to focus our conversation, because I'm sure we could have many conversations, but I'd like to focus it on how do we get the people who are our ideal clients to find us in this really noisy world online that we live in, that we have to compete with, everything that's going on. And specifically, not only just our websites, but many people are starting podcasts, or maybe they have blogs, and they're trying to get more people to find them. So I'm going to just turn it over to you, and you can talk about, the state of internet life today.
Oh, yes. I'm glad that you mentioned this. There's definitely a lot of competition when it comes to how many websites, how many podcasts are coming out right now. So a big part of marketing is finding out what's your unique selling point. So when I go through with my SEO clients, what I basically do is we're trying to curate content that will stand out in the eyes of your ideal audience. So one of the easiest way to kind of stand out from this noisy marketplace is kind of create content, whether it's podcasts or blog articles, around topics that are currently trending right now in your industry. Those type of topics I'm pretty sure people are searching for those type of topics. Or if your industry, let's say it's catering and Halloween is coming up right now, in 2 or 3 weeks. If you're a catering company, what you could talk about are events that are coming up that will definitely add some value to your audience about, let's say, how to create the best um, kid-friendly drinks for Halloween, how to come up with the great party dips for your Halloween party. Basically, those are two ways to kind of stand out from noisy marketplace. There are some articles that are kind of evergreen, so it's kind of applicable around like any time of the year. Like if you're a business lawyer, how to start an LLC in 5 easy steps. That's kind of evergreen. And so they're kind of good when you basically want to just have content out there that's helpful, but then they won't get the amount of attention and basically have the ability to stand out as much as things that are trending and events that are coming up.
So when you talk about trending events, do you have any tips on how people might find out what is trending? And especially when it comes to SEO, search engine optimization, what is more important in terms of these topics? Is it your title? Is it the content, like the body copy? Is it the tags? Or is it a combination of everything? But do you have any like tips on how do I find out what is hot in my particular niche or niche?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy that you asked that. I find like a lot of my clients are trying to figure that out as well. So there's a free way to do it. It's called Google Trends. And basically you find your industry, what kind of keywords you want to focus on, and it'll kind of pop up like trends that are happening on the internet, like through social media or Twitter. And there's also I guess BuzzSumo is another tool that you could use to find the most recent content. And there's a free trial, but if you want more access into BuzzSumo, there's like a paid membership as well. So once we find find a topic that we're pretty sure is trending, what we do is basically find keywords that are underneath this topic. Let's say what has happened recently. Like for example, the independent contractor thing with Uber just happened recently. And so we'll talk about Uber and Lyft and all those other keywords. And basically we want to add these throughout not only our blog content, but I would say like basically the title of your blog post is written in a H1 heading. So the heading is basically tells Google, this is what the entire blog article is mainly about. And actually that's pretty important to have your main keywords on the very top. And then as you go throughout the content, you want to add keywords that are associated with that topic. And you add it piece by piece and giving it enough space so that you're not doing keyword stuffing, which is basically just repeating the keyword over and over again just to get ranked for that specific keyword. And that's basically how it used to be. You just write your keyword over and over again, and that's how you get ranked for Google. But it's definitely changed by then. And I'll say after you create your keywords on your website, there's something called a meta description that you do want to put your keywords in. The meta description is basically when you type in the keywords on Google search, like how to tie your shoes. There's like a whole long list of all those different websites and the little description underneath it. You want to make sure that keyword's in there, because if the user doesn't find their keyword in that meta description, they're not going to go into your website. So those are the areas you might want to look at when you're adding keywords and try and find out what's trending among your industry.
So you said a couple things that are interesting. When you said the heading, the H1 heading, that's actually a size of type, correct? And that's actually when you put something in that H1 heading, that actually tells the little search engine robots that this is important. So there's all these little details about the actual, it's not only about what you write, but it's how you label them with the how big the subheads or the headings are, and this meta description. Now, is the meta description, when you say that, are you talking about in a website or in the description of, let's say you have a WordPress site? Is that the part where it's just saying what this website is about in one place? Or is there a meta description for each blog post or for each podcast that you would produce? Or is it just a one place thing?
Oh, yeah. Meta description is basically what I mentioned, that is like when you type your keywords into Google search and then you see those lists of websites. Basically, each page on your website has its own unique meta description. And there's certain website builders like Squarespace and WordPress where you could actually customize what you want to put there. Because if you don't specify what you want to put there, basically what they do is just take the first maybe 3 to 4 lines of your of the first page or second page, and that will be your meta description. So basically, sometimes maybe the first 3 or 4 lines of your blog article might not be like the best selling point for that particular page of your website. So what I like to do with my clients is basically look at what is their meta description, make sure the keywords are there, and is actionable to make them click on that one link.
Yeah, when I'm really hearing, and because I know there's a lot of people that are do-it-yourselfers, and here's the message that I'm hearing is, yes, you can do all this yourself, but if you don't know what you're doing, the odds are that you're going to miss a lot of things that could help you in the long run. And so SEO, or search engine optimization, is not something that I think your average person has enough knowledge to do for themselves without being educated. And that's one of the reasons why we're here today, educating people about these different things. But it's interesting because the learning curve, I don't know how much time you've spent learning how to do search engine optimization. Tell me a little bit more about your background and what it does take to learn all of these things, and how often the search engine algorithms change. Kind of a little state of the internet, if you would.
Oh, yeah. I would say, starting with my background, I started off actually as a software engineer. And basically what I would do is start creating websites and web applications. And from there, I basically started getting more interested on how to actually drive traffic to these websites. And that's when SEO came in. And for a lot of people, SEO is it's kind of like dark magic, right? It basically, you could get on page 1 of Google, but people don't really know, it's very complicated how they actually got there. But I would say there's 3 main takeaways that you want to do, make sure that you are ranked on the first page of Google. The first one being, make sure that Google can find your website. So an easy way to do this is just go in the Google search bar, type in site, SITE, your website. And if your website pops up during that query, that's a great sign because Google can find you. The second step would be having great, valuable content for your website and making sure it loads fast and is mobile friendly. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is basically where you want to be associated with high authority domains. Basically, step 3, it's basically like high school. Google doesn't know who you are, but it's a huge popularity contest. So the more you get in with the popular cheerleaders, popular jocks, the popular kids at your school, Google sees that and sees that as a ranking factor for your website. So I would say focus on those three main things. And in terms of the search engine algorithms changing, it actually changes pretty often, maybe every few weeks, I would say. But the thing is, when you are a great value to your audience, it loads fast, and then you show that you're actually adding value without trying to cheat their algorithm. You don't ever get punished. I think the most recent Google algorithm change was the way they treat links. So when they add your website link on a high authority website, um, it's no longer, you don't get the same amount of authority passed on if it's a sponsored link. That's the most recent one that came out a few months ago. So sponsored links are links that are really easy to get. You just pay for them. And just because it's that easy, like anyone that has money could go ahead and do that. So that's one of the main things that to keep in mind when you want to do SEO. Just be a value to Google and your website visitors, and then you'll be really good on your search engine rankings, and maybe you'll do really good for a number of years as well.
So when you talk about the high authority domains, what does that mean exactly?
So high authority domains are basically like Forbes, Entrepreneur. These are websites that have been basically, usually a number of factors take into effect when you talk about high authority. They've been around for a really long time. They show that they created a lot of value for their audience, and you might not be able to actually see the domain authority of each website. You just kind of have to guess when you look. But there are certain SEO software, like I know for sure Moz, M-O-Z, Ahrefs, Majestic SEO. These are all different SEO software where it actually places a score for the domain authority. So when you start asking people to link to your website, you have an idea what is their score and who you should actually be reaching out to, because you don't want to have a lot of spammy, low quality websites linking to your website, because Google just knows who you associate with. And if you associate with that bunch, it tends to bring down your search engine rankings. And you definitely do not want that for your website.
So when you talk about linking, for example, if I write an article and it's published on Forbes, how would I link that back to me?
Usually
how do I do that?
With Forbes, actually some of the publications have been changing. With Forbes, usually what happens is you type in a blog article, and let's say you're a guest post, right, for Forbes, and you write your article. Usually at the very end, not all publications do this. You write a little bio about yourself, and this little bio is usually when you can add your link. And basically that's your 30-second pitch. And when you add that link, if Forbes lets you get their domain authority of their website to be passed on to yours, it will be called a follow link. So they control whether or not they give you domain authority. And when a certain publication does not want you to have some of their authority on their website, they would basically label it as a no follow link in the HTML code of their website. So it's kind of like when you do link building, not all links are built equally.
So that's what the no follow means, and the follow link. If it's a no follow, it means there's nothing there, basically. And then if it's a follow link, then of course it's got a real connection. Yeah, that's really good information, because I think often many people are advised that, they say, oh, go be a guest poster, go do this, or like you said, some people say, go buy these links. Well, if you don't have the basic knowledge that you just imparted about follow and no follow links, you wouldn't even know. You could be literally wasting your time or spinning your wheels on a lot of this stuff. That's why it's so important to know someone like you who actually knows this. So for podcasting, and of course I have a personal interest in podcasting, as do many of my listeners, what are some things that podcasters can do to get more traffic to our podcast so that we can get more listeners and more downloads, and of course, go through the circle of life, for our business and podcasting?
Oh yeah, definitely. Basically, I think of podcasts and blog articles as basically just content. And when you have content, I will go through the similar process of adding a blog article onto your blog. The same thing you would do basically when you create a content strategy for your podcast. I would do basically what I mentioned before about talking about things that are trending at the time, or events that are coming up that people are going to be searching about. And basically, I would add that as a title, and then basically have a show description where you're actually adding those keywords inside your podcast show notes. Because iTunes and iTunes and all the other podcast uploading platforms, they're actually search engines as well. So basically, you have that opportunity to capture all of the different keywords, and then basically I would work with other podcasters as well in your similar space where you could get additional traffic into your website. And so I would say that's like link building, but for podcasts. So there's a lot of similar elements between podcasts, blog articles, or sometimes you could just transcribe your podcast and turn into a blog article, and then just do some minor editing, and then add keywords naturally. I guess that's the keyword, naturally, because there is a really sometimes you see that keywords are forced into an article, and you definitely do not want that. You want it to be, basically, you want to make Google happy, but then at the very top, you're talking to an actual person behind your computer and your website. So definitely, there are SEO aspects of podcasting that you could definitely incorporate as your host as well.
So when you're actually doing the podcast, for example, I'm listening to you speak and of course my questions, and I'm thinking to myself, well, gee, our whole conversation is keyword loaded.
Oh, yeah.
but it's all natural and real. So here's a question related to the search engines and Google and, what Bing, and you have all of these different search engines. So if we're having a conversation that is naturally keyword loaded, do they look at that? Do we get bonus points just because it's real? Or is it possible that we could actually say the keywords too many times in a natural conversation? Or is that just wouldn't happen?
I would say during the process, let's say we're talking, and then let's say I say get ranked page 1 of Google. How do you do that? That's like a major keyword. It's really, I know a lot of people are searching that if they're looking to get more traffic. I would say if we naturally say that through our conversation, when you turn into a blog article, I would basically remove some of those extra words where it might look like, maybe we didn't intentionally try to do that, but maybe we just inadvertently ended up doing that. I will go into that blog article and just take out some extra keywords where we're actually repeating ourselves. And what we could do actually is there are words that are not exact keywords, but there are synonyms where you could describe the same exact thing in different words. And so that's another way to capture more traffic or get more keywords into your website without being like overly spammy, like, or, keyword stuffing. And it should naturally flow with the content and what your users are searching.
That's interesting. And as you're speaking, it makes me have my next question is related to audio search. I know in the last couple years, and you said it about making sure that your websites load fast and that they're mobile friendly. How important is audio search now with the fact that so many people are using their phones and to do searches? How does that work, and how does that like podcasts, which are audio, how does that work in the scheme of things? Like, do podcasts typically rank higher in the search engines because of the fact that they're audio, or what are some of the ranking factors that we should be paying attention to?
Definitely with audio, there is a huge movement in terms of how big podcasts are growing. Podcasts are now integrated into people's cars. So you could actually speak into it and find the podcast that you need without, being hands-free. So I would say the way that people type into the search engines might be slightly different than the way they actually talk into it. So when I talk to you, it's a very casual conversation. Like, I'm not using really complex words, and sometimes I'm using slang. And you have to think about that when you're creating your content. Maybe they're not speaking. I would say, like, even with content, usually it's written at 5th to 6th grade level, studies say. So you don't usually, as long as your audience is not like professors or people that are really like technical, you want to keep your content as, as casual or in the way people would search. And sorry, was there a second part of that question that I was missing?
I was just curious about voice, how voice is used in search now and how important it is. And then, of course, I went off on my other tangent related to the fact that, hey, a podcast is audio. So, I guess it's the two-part question is, how important is voice search in the scheme of everything? And then, do podcasts rank higher because of the fact that they're audio?
Oh, okay. That second part. I wouldn't say that podcasts are. I know definitely voice is definitely the way of the future of SEO, and there's a lot of like voice being integrated into SEO right now. But at this point, Google is not choosing to necessarily like rank a podcast higher because they're using more audio in their content. But basically, research is saying that there's at least 2 million podcasts that are indexed in their search engines right now for Google. And basically, you do want to basically create audio because for my business, with SEO, it could take up to 6 months to actually rank. And basically, what happened was there was someone coming up to me and complaining about, why am I paying so much money and then why is it taking so long to rank? And basically, when I heard that, I basically started revamping SEO. So there's actually an audio component to it. We're trying to bring back the human experience in marketing. And when I always found that it's stronger conversion rates when you hear someone's voice, and it's a lot easier to establish that know, like, and trust factor, which is really hard when you're a brand new business, no one's heard about you, and it's a way to get into that door a lot easier to your clients.
So here's a question related to that know, like, trust factor, the voice. In my experience, videos have been very strong for ranking on Google. I've done a lot of videos, and it's like they'll move up the page very rapidly if I have the right keywords. Is that something that is going to continue, that video is going to continue to be important and for Google, and do they really like video? And I believe, doesn't Google now own YouTube or vice versa?
Oh yeah.
So is video still holding its own and being really important in SEO now?
Oh yeah, definitely Google is very Google did buy YouTube, and so um there is a huge place in SEO in Google, but there's also like when you go in YouTube, you type in the same exact keywords, and the way that they're slightly actually kind of different is that usually with Google, you type in a keyword, you go to a website, and then if you don't like that website, maybe you leave and then you go to another website, and then you keep going to another website. But with YouTube, how that's slightly different is that they're more, when you type in a specific keyword like cat videos, right? When you look at cat videos, basically you watch your video, but then along the side, there's a whole bunch of recommended videos. So it's more like a referral type of marketing strategy where they're referring different videos to you based on what you search. So it's not like people are constantly changing the keyword research keywords, but they're just looking at other videos that you might be interested in. So the mechanics of search engine SEO and YouTube SEO is slightly different, but video is definitely very important. It's just basically there's nothing that could replace the human voice. Like when you sit, conversion rates are a lot higher when you're sitting in person to someone. And one step maybe below that would be video, where you see them and you see the video, but you're not in person. And then like further down would be just audio, right? Which is podcast. And then on the very bottom would be maybe like a blog article. So you really want to think about your strategy. Sometimes you could scale a certain type of technology, like we have CRMs, we have SEO. We could get to a lot of people, but what we lose in that relationship is that we lose that human compatibility to be relatable. So those are things you want to think about when you come up with a marketing strategy or marketing strategies for your company. I created SEO. SEO is more like a long-term marketing strategy because it could take several months to rank. But then with podcasts, you're getting to the audio, you hear the actual human voice. So conversion rates, maybe only like certain amount of listeners are listening in at one certain time, maybe only 10 or 20, but your conversion rates are a lot stronger. So definitely want to think about those, balancing those two long-term and short-term marketing strategies together.
So that's really interesting to me about how, you're basically confirming things that I've always thought, that, video is very strong because you have the, the visual and the audio. And then of course, podcasts are very strong because the beauty of a podcast is that if you can hear it, you can be doing all these other things. You can still be driving, you can be exercising, you can be doing all these things and not have to look at it,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the beauty of podcasting. So when you work with someone, what does that look like? If somebody wanted to work with you, what would they need to do, and what would the process be that you might be looking at to determine if you can help them?
Oh yes, basically, I would say it's similar to basically my 3 easy steps to SEO. I go through a similar process with my clients. Um, I would say like basically the very first thing is to find out who's their ideal client. And when we find out the ideal client, we could kind of take a look at the website. Um, is the website, I would say like website speed is like really like important. If it doesn't load in 2.5 seconds, like research says, there's a high likelihood that they won't even see anything on your website. So website speed, mobile friendly, and then based on their ideal client, we find the keywords that they're searching for. So, like I mentioned, I add these during the in the blog articles. Sometimes you could actually add keywords behind the images on your website, and that's another place that we put it. And also putting it in that meta description when you see the search engine results. Make sure those keywords are there, so they match what the user is searching. And basically from there, we start link building and reaching out to referral websites where to get actual more traffic into our website. And at the very end, what we like to do is basically track it with Google Web Analytics. That would tell us basically what's happening on the website and basically what are your website visitors doing. And so I like doing that entire process, and then we optimize as we go. We start adding more content, and then the more content that we add, the more keywords we could try to and capture. And it's a whole cycle from there. We keep optimizing the website and start bringing more and more traffic as well.
So you focus primarily on the long term, because you're talking about the website, the content, and of course building the keywords and everything. What about, do you have any advice for, like, you know how everybody's now, they have their landing pages where they have like a place where people go to download a video or to get something. Is that a different process, or can you optimize landing pages, or does it always have to be a website or a podcast site, or could it be like a landing page and drive traffic? That, are there SEO methods to just get that, I guess, that traffic, organic traffic to a landing page online? Or is that part of how a podcast, for example, attracts?
I would say there is definitely a SEO aspect to landing pages. For my company, I don't really I'm not an expert at landing pages, but I do know of certain landing page softwares such as Unbounce. Unbounce is basically a landing page software. And what's kind of like a little bit more unique about just a traditional landing page is that they create landing pages where the keywords are kind of dynamic. I don't really know as much about this because I don't really create landing pages for my clients yet, but I have heard of them having dynamic keywords. So basically you have a landing page and it's able to tweak certain keywords that you type in, that the user types in to match what they're typing. And so this is definitely I'm not sure when it came out, but this is relatively recent, where they could actually have dynamic keyword, I don't know how to call it, dynamic keyword placement depending on what your user is typing. So there is some SEO aspect when you're designing landing pages, and a lot of SEO, I would say, it's combined with user experience of the website. So SEO is really, it could be basically combined with UX, UI. There's a lot of complementary fields with SEO.
Yeah, I know, and it's all happening so fast. That's why I was asking that, because I've been paying attention probably since 2009. So really not that long in the scheme of things, but just in that amount of time, it's like uh, search engine optimization, and then of course there was the black hat, the gray hat, the white hat, and then there was a time when they tried to make it sound like everything, the word SEO became like a dirty word, or search engine optimization, because of all of the things that were happening, I guess, where people were trying to cheat, like what you said, the keyword stuffing, the link buying, all of those different things. So now, and we're nearly into 2020, would you say that search engine optimization is more, because of all the algorithm changes, is it harder to scam the system than it used to be? And I think you said it. You said, well, if you're working so that it attracts people, you're not going to get yourself into trouble. Is that a true statement?
You 100% hit that donkey on the head. Basically, Google continues to evolve over the years and over the few weeks. They are evolving to kind of pick up on what people are doing to do black hat SEO, which is a very like spammy way, as you mentioned, like to kind of like buy links and keyword stuff and do a number of things to try to get ranked even faster. But they are definitely cracking down on these people. And basically, when you create a website that is of value to your audience, it pleases Google. And basically, when you stay on that path of being valuable, being of service to your ideal audience, you don't really have to think about all the different like algorithm changes, because the algorithm changes or the algorithm penalties are usually there to punish people that have been trying to find easier or faster ways to kind of like cheat the system. So I would say stay on the path of creating valuable content, and you could almost never go wrong. Like Google has never punished anyone for creating a valuable website for their audience. So that is like definitely something that you should always keep in mind. So I just always be of value, even like any type of marketing, like give before you actually receive, like basically help someone out before you actually like try and do a spammy or a hard sell to your clients.
That's good advice. Well, I think that's interesting because, again, back in 2009 when I first started out, like I made videos, for example, and because I didn't know anything other than how to use real words, I looked and I still have videos out there that are still ranking on page 1 since 2009, just because I didn't know enough to try to cheat the system.
Oh yeah, that's a great thing.
So I think that you're right on target when you say provide value and you can't go wrong. And if you look at online, and it goes with your website, it could be your podcast, it could be your blog, as long as you're providing value and you have consistency, it seems like that's the secret sauce is provide value and be consistent, or follow the golden rule, treat other people the way that you'd want to be treated. It's kind of like stuff that it's common sense, and it's about just do good and good stuff will come to you. So if somebody wants to work with you, how would you suggest they get in contact with you?
Oh yeah, so right now we're offering a free SEO audit of your website. So we basically find out the keywords that you should probably be targeting. And we're also, right now we're building out a new podcast booking service. So basically booking podcasts in your industry. And with this free SEO audit, if you want to get in on this deal right now, my link is calendly.com/gen-90. And when you basically create a free SEO consultation with me, in the notes, you could add your website and your company and your name. And then we could definitely walk through what kind of changes you would want to do for your website and basically take it from there and see how it could actually help your audience.
So that's, you said Calendly. Can you spell that out for us?
Oh yeah, Calendly, CALENDLY.com/gen-90.
Okay. So I'll make sure that I'll put that in the show notes as a live link so people can just click on it. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you're also, besides the search engine optimization, you said that you're also working on creating a podcast guest directory. Is that what you said?
Oh yeah, so this is relatively new. And we were talking about basically creating the human voice back into blog articles. So that's what I'm basically focused in on. And what we do is basically we talk about your needs as a business and we find out the right podcast shows to get you booked on. And basically this creates like higher conversion rates because people could hear your voice. They're in tune with you as a person. And basically that's our new features that we're rolling out in complementary with SEO, because we're talking about how podcasts and SEO actually go really well together. So we're also offering that as well, starting this month.
So how does that work? That you actually have a recording? Is that how that works?
Oh yeah. So basically, when there's a client coming in and they want to get booked on podcasts, we basically find out what's basically their topic that they want to talk about, and then we create basically like a resume for them to kind of like post out to podcast hosts. And basically we do we go and try to pitch these. I really hate the word pitch, but we try to pitch these podcast hosts to get them onto their show, and basically doing what we're doing right now, actually, and just having those conversations and basically helping them with their business using podcasts and SEO as a way to do it.
Oh, well, that's really cool. So I'll put all the information into the links. So Jennifer, before I let you go, do you have any last tips for anyone about what they can do like right now to help themselves get better search engine optimization?
I would say right now, check your website speed. And then number 2 would be basically you could use Google autocomplete, which is you just type into Google search and then do a pause, and it's going to suggest a whole bunch of keywords to you. And then that's number 2, do the keyword research through Google Auto Suggest. And then number 3, start reaching out to people that could actually promote your website. And I would say that's like my simple, easy 3 steps to start getting more SEO rankings or better SEO rankings.
So what was the first one?
First one is basically make sure it's mobile friendly and fast.
Mobile friendly and fast. And what you said was 2.5 seconds. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, that's like a blink of the eye fast.
Yeah.
And then the Google Auto Suggest is a really good suggestion because you're absolutely right. If you start typing, it will give you a lot of suggestions. And I take it that those suggestions are coming from what real people have typed in before you?
Yes, definitely those. You don't see the actual numbers, but Google has crunched the numbers and shown basically high search volume keywords. And so they know that these keywords are generating traffic. So, but they don't actually show you the exact numbers, but they definitely what people are searching online.
So that's what I would call quick and dirty research.
Yeah, quick and dirty.
Because you literally just start typing and then it shows you, and then you could try a couple different combinations, and you literally could get like blog ideas, that would be like 30 seconds to your next blog post, by doing that basic research. And then what was the third thing that you said to do?
Just start reaching out to people that could promote your website and get them to add your website link onto their websites. And that's what I do every month for my clients. Just basically those few steps. And then at some point, what I like to call SEO sometimes is passive income for marketing. Like you're saying, you had that old YouTube video from a really long time ago that people are still viewing. And so that's the magic of SEO. Like there's very few marketing methods where you could kind of just stop. And then like there's very few where you can stop and actually still get traction from it. So that's one of the reasons why I actually picked SEO as a marketing method, because that's the beauty of it. You don't, at some point, you start getting certain keywords that just stick and they continue to drive traffic to your podcast or your website.
Wow, lots of good advice. I highly recommend that everybody, if you weren't taking notes, you need to go back and listen, because Jennifer dropped some pretty good digital gold truth bombs along the way. And so that's really great. And thank you so much for sharing so much of your information with us today. I really learned a lot. And again, you confirmed a lot about what I thought I knew about search engine optimization related to videos and podcasts, and why audio and visual is so important in today's world. So thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Tamara, for having me on your show. And anytime, they could always reach out to me, and we could talk more about how I could actually help them drive more traffic to their website.
Well, that sounds good. And everyone, I am going to put Jennifer's information into the show notes so that you'll have her email and her website, and you can go find out everything. So everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.